Humor's the only place that truth can live nowadays.
There's a lot of lessons in that.
It's formed their identity, and they've done it brilliantly. It's a brainwashing scheme that's worked for the divide and conquer. Americans show out. The citizens show out.
Yeah.
You know who doesn't? Our government.
No, they can't even get people out of space right now.
Imagine stealing 30 to 50% of people's money
And there's no
and
consequences.
still being $36 trillion in debt.
A lot of people on the left have accepted cheating and suppressing difference of opinion and facts. They don't care long as they win. It's terrible. Everyone deserves the truth and an honest opinion, and to look over facts only strictly for what they are. You can't be biased when it comes to that.
The First Amendment is about free speech.
Yeah.
And over the past decade, or basically since Obama took over, there's been a war on free speech. You have two people that have done more of a
the world.
detriment to America. Like they're, if you put a list together of the people that have tried to ruin America,
They're at the
10,
top.
They're at the top.
Our government is wicked, man. They don't play. They play for keeps.
Essentially what our weapons contractors do that are U.S., like they're selling to both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get us into war, make a shit ton of money, and more of us young, brave men and women die.
Next thing they're going to tell us Santa Claus came down the chimney. That is wild. I can't believe they let a reporter in there. That's unbelievable.
Don't you give that shit away for kids.
Lies are told every day, but the truth is so hard to find nowadays. It's like the Holy Grail, finding the truth.
Conspiracies wouldn't exist if you would just tell us the truth.
This is Sparta!
I'm gonna ride your coattails because I haven't been watching a lot of news lately, and I've been studying abroad. She was like 5'9". Nice.
Seriously.
No, I got to get you this one early in the podcast. All right. There was a bear and a rabbit in the woods, right? They stumbled upon this magical genie lamp. The bear said, "Hey, I found it first." The rabbit said, "No, I found it first." The genie pops out and said, "Listen, guys, there's no need for you guys to fuss about this. I'll grant you 3 wishes each." Now, this bear was really arrogant. He said, "Okay, I want to go first. I want to go first." The genie said, "What would you like?" He said, "I want you to turn every bear in the forest into a female. That way I won't have any competition." The genie says, "You got it." The rabbit said, "I'll take a Honda Spree moped." The bear laughed like, "What a dumb rabbit." The genie says, "You got it." The bear said, "You know what? I want you to turn every bear in the whole United States into a female bear." The genie says, "You got it." The rabbit said, "I'll take a moped scooter helmet." The bear's just laughing at him. The bear's third wish, he said, "You know what? I want to dominate the world. Turn every bear in the world into a female bear." The genie says, "You got it." The rabbit was down to his last wish. The rabbit jumped on his moped, put his helmet on, and said, "I want you to turn that bear gay." Isn't that cruel? And my gay friends, that's not a bad joke. That's just a joke. That's pretty bad.
Humor's the only place that truth can live nowadays.
There's a lot of lessons in that.
There is.
Pick your wishes wisely, and he who picks first is not always the best picker.
That's right. As I was saying, once a month, we do these leadership and reviews, whereas traditionally you see me interviewing other leaders to give you as much inspiration and impact as possible. These leadership and reviews are designed for us to assess the current state of leadership in our country and the world. All right. We got a lot to get into, but first, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing really good. Really good. The world hasn't come to an end.
Yeah, I thought by now it should have,
Oh,
right?
yeah, it's supposed to be falling off the cliff.
And Congress did its job to approve the election, which was a question mark, which is interesting. So good they did that, and we're a couple weeks away from President Trump taking office again.
Yeah. See how this cookie crumbles. See how this ball bounces.
And we do a lot of bashing on the left because they deserve it. But Yokes and I we're very transparent. If Trump doesn't do what he says he's going to do,
Get him out of there.
We're going to bash him. And
Yes.
I mean, equally.
It's not politics as usual with us. We want results. We want for the greater good of America and the world, and that's what's wrong with a lot of people. They just go on party lines and so biased that they turn a blind eye to the wrongs that their side is doing. You shouldn't even have a side.
It's formed their identity, and they've done it brilliantly. It's a brainwashing scheme that's worked for the divide and conquer. It's brilliant. Anyhow, I want to start with something local. So we talked about this. We had a school shooting here in Madison. I've talked about it on the podcast. I put out a YouTube video sharing my sentiments the day after. But last night, something awesome happened.
What was that?
Culver's, the great old Culver's fast food restaurant, which is founded in the great state of Wisconsin, out of Sauk City, but is now nationwide. But Culver's, within a 50-mile radius of Madison, put out that they were going to do 25% of all orders were fundraised for the school, for their mental health, for any of the victims' families. It is awesome because here's what happened. The community showed up.
Nice.
Every single Culver's had lines down the street from the town of Oregon, from Middleton to Wanakee to Sun Prairie.
Yeah, all over.
Everywhere was backed up. Jenna was out in Wanakee, my wife. She waited a half hour to order her food, a half hour to get it. And gladly did so because the community showed out.
For the greater good.
For the greater good, for those families that are struggling. We got families still in the hospital recovering. We got kids and teachers in the hospital still recovering. We have families that lost 2 children. It's a tragic situation, but this is what happens in tragedy. Americans show out. The citizens show out.
Yeah.
You know who doesn't? Our government.
Never. They can't even get people out of space right now.
Same thing in North Carolina that happened.
Yeah.
Citizens showed out. You know who hasn't? Our government. And before any of you try and say, oh, FEMA's there, you know the report that just came out? $1.75 million that FEMA has given to North Carolina, Western North Carolina. You know how much has reached the citizens?
How much?
$0.
Jeez. Wow.
$0.
And we still sending Ukraine money.
And yeah. Jeez. So that might be on my list. But I just want to point this out, that American citizens are good people.
But those are stories that are buried.
And they're
you don't hear about this.
Local news talked about Culver's, what they were about to do.
It probably had a nice little news flash, but I haven't even heard of it until you told me about it.
Well, I don't know if so probably 5 o'clock news, they'll probably talk about something tonight locally. Last night and the days preceding, social media, the local news was pumping, hey, Culver's going to do that. And that's why we got the turnout.
Well, that's good. I'll give them credit for that.
We got the turnout that they did. And I haven't seen the numbers yet because it was just last night that it was going on. But I'm sure it was a big chunk because if all these places had an hour wait, that means the community of Madison and the surrounding communities were showing out to support these families. And that's what happens when any tragedy strikes. American citizens step up. With charities, we step up. And yet our government, who steals at least 30% of most Americans' taxes, is $36 trillion in debt. Imagine stealing 30 to 50% of people's money.
And there's no
and
consequences.
Still being $36 trillion in debt.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, that's a different topic we could get into. I didn't mean to. Just happened to be on my
that's
mind.
good for Culver's, man. I mean, I remember back when COVID was around. My grandma thought COVID was Culver's. And I was like, I got COVID. And she said, Give me a double cheeseburger. Different C word. Hey, we forgot to mention since you got into your joke. What I got? You got Hoyo?
Hoyo, a Cuban Hoyo de Monterrey.
That ain't a good word in the hood.
Yeah.
Hoyo. This like.
And I went to one of my all-time favorites, the Don Carlos Personal Reserve. By
Carlos.
Arturo Fuente. It always hits. Always a good one.
This hole is nice.
So you can't find what I gave him unless you have a Cuban Connect.
Yes.
But you can find these Arturo Fuentes, Don Carlos Personal Reserves at most.
You sounding more and more like a drug dealer. You can't find this unless you got a Cuban Connect.
Unless you got a Connect.
Not only a Connect, you need the Cuban Connect.
That's right.
So what's been going on, man?
So we got a list
in the news.
We got a list in the news. I came with notes today. because there's been so much going on for us to catch up on. I think I first want, because this just broke this morning. So this is this is hot off the press. Meta's shift to community notes and free speech.
I saw that.
So you have been seeing something.
I've been watching a little something. No Dana White. They brought up Dana White.
Dana White joining the board. We got that. But
that was Zuckerberg who brought this up, right?
So Zuckerberg goes public today, announced the replacement of third-party, can't even call these fact checkers.
Oh, that was, yeah.
So
yeah,
anyhow,
yeah.
But that's what they, call them, fact checkers, but we knew they were full of shit. With community note system across Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, aiming to enhance free expression on the platforms. And this is exactly what happens on X and why most people get their news from X now, because it's actually being fact checked in real time by community, not by biased identity politics type fact checkers.
Those were so frustrating watching fact checking going on. And they'll say, well, it's partially right. Or it was like the fox guarding the hen house. It was bad. Yeah. They need to totally eliminate that. It was terrible.
They are. So
good.
He comes out this morning. The community notes system, inspired by a similar feature on X, formerly Twitter, which I still call it Twitter, but will allow users to collaboratively add context to potentially misleading posts. And liberals are enraged.
That gets me the most, that people are willing to cheat, steal, and kill just to get their point across. Like if the right, or if Trump was for suppressing free speech or with these phony fact checks, I would not support that. I would not want to see him win if he had to cheat to win, regardless of who it is. But a lot of people on the left have accepted cheating and suppressing a difference of opinion and facts. They don't care long as they win. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's fascinating to watch that downslide.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're compromising their own morals and values to be quote unquote right.
To win. I want my team to win.
And it's not even a winning thing. It's just it's an arrogance to be, that their opinion is right.
They want to feel good too. Yeah.
It's a emotional tie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's terrible. Well, hopefully they'll get that right, get that together.
So it's interesting, and you mentioned that Dana White's appointed to the board. We've seen Zuckerberg at a lot of UFC fights. Dana White's a brilliant businessman. Yeah. No one can take that. So you may dislike him for how he's a brash personality. You may dislike him because he likes Trump. You may dislike him because he owns the UFC and you don't like fighting.
Yeah.
But you cannot dismiss that he is a brilliant business mind.
Yeah. But beyond being a brilliant business mind, we just need people who have a good moral compass. Like my compass is real good. And I wouldn't care if you're on the right or the left. Everyone deserves the truth and an honest opinion, and to look over facts only strictly for what they are. You can't be biased when it comes to that. Like if the right was trying to suppress someone, I think Dana White would stand up and say, this is a bunch of BS.
Yeah, he would.
So we need people like that. But you see both sides where a lot of these people who act like they're really down for the cause, they're still parts of the team. You know?
Well, so my point though is, and I agree, I think I don't know him personally, so by what I've observed, it looks like he has a good moral compass. But when you appoint someone to a board, especially a board of a company that size, it has to be people that are smart business people.
Okay.
You have to have other good business minds in the room because they're helping guide the ship, a very large ship.
So I can't be on the board?
Well, depends on your experience with business. And, that's the thing. You have to have significant business experience. These are usually retired executives, retired business owners that are major companies that are like a few chapters ahead of you.
Yeah.
To be able to guide you on your decisions and the shareholders in their decisions.
I noticed that too. Like they'll get the ex-CFO, the ex-CEO of Alliant Energy and stuff like that. And then they start putting you on like the Olympic boards and all kind of boards. Yeah. Yep. Ford company board, Pepsi.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
that have been a part of big operations that are a few chapters ahead of you. You get them on the board to give you guidance.
Okay.
So it's a smart move by Zuckerberg, all in all. I do appreciate, on X, for those that don't explore Twitter too much, you go on there and like you go into the comments and someone voices a really loud opinion, there'll be people in there right away going fact, check.
And
Like
something, man. And it has gotten so bad, like on Instagram or YouTube, you can just say anything and something to come up. We've heard this before. You want to reconsider what your response is. It's like, wow. What do you have? Someone just sitting back there, and if you say Democrat loonies, they'll say, nope, this is a bad word. That's crazy.
kind of. They do.
It's wild. It is
So,
wild.
I think this is important for all of us, though, because the First Amendment is about free speech.
Yeah.
And over the past decade, or basically since Obama took over, there's been a war on free speech. We noticed this on, and I want to give Elon a lot of credit. And I'm still not sold on him being, all the right's making him up to be right now. But I want to give him a lot of credit on the X thing, because if he didn't buy Twitter, I think the election would have gone a different way.
It would have been a whole different scenario.
Free speech would be even further taken away from us. I think that there's a lot of credit that he deserves for being a protector of the First Amendment.
It's such a revolving door, though. As much as Obama and those guys did to try to, Hillary and all those guys try to take free speech, it was the Republicans, as far as I can remember, who started it out with, you're the cancel culture, or you're not you're unpatriotic if you were against the Iraqi war, or let's try to ban the Dixie Chicks from record sales. And the Republicans actually really did a horrible job of, trying to suppress anti-war speech, got rid of Phil Donahue. And so it's on both sides.
It's on both sides, for sure.
Terrible. And I mean, my favorite, Tucker Carlson, was with that cancel culture. Oh, you're unpatriotic if you're against Iraq. It was some really people, some bright minds that I really liked that, they drank the Kool-Aid on that.
But what I do respect about Tucker is admitting that he was wrong.
He admitted he was wrong. Yeah. And he'd become one of my favorites after that.
Yeah, it's those that stick in that same lane that just beat the same drum and don't ever admit wrong. That's
I'm
who
not
you got to
going
look
anywhere.
out for.
I'm going to continue the lies and Russia. Yeah.
Speaking of, that's next on my list. The Presidential Medal of Honor, or
Who did that
Medals
go to?
of Freedom. Oh,
Did Hillary
Alec,
Clinton get one?
what was the name?
Soros?
Medal of Freedom, the highest honor for civilians.
Who got that? Was that Hillary?
Hillary.
And then I think
George Soros.
Yes. I mean, these are just
I mean,
maniacs.
you had Denzel Washington, Bill Nye, the science guy.
Bill Nye. They can't even tell you if a man or a woman are different.
Well, so what's funny about that is an old video of him said that gender is determined by our chromosomes.
Oh, they found him, huh?
So there was a joke going around, hey, is this Medal of Freedom going to get revoked now that this old video is resurfaced of Bill Nye? All right, so here's what we had. Bono, Michael J. Fox, Jane Goodall. She deserved it. You know her? She was the woman that with the apes.
Primates.
Yeah, the primates,
yeah.
a lot of them. Denzel Washington, Lionel Messi.
Although Goodall said there was too many people in the world and we need to start cutting back on people. So we got to do some research on her.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
I didn't know that about her. So, but the two big ones, George Romney, Mitt's dad. I don't know about that. They're definitely establishment people. Lionel Messi, Ralph Lauren. I don't know what Ralph Lauren outside of business has done philanthropic wise.
Ralph Lauren?
Yeah.
He was protested as being racist for a while. He didn't want black models to wear his clothes. That's the rumor mill. But Macy didn't show up. He didn't want it.
Who?
So, the soccer player?
Messi. Lionel Messi.
Yeah, he didn't show up.
And then you had Magic Johnson on there as well. And then RFK, his RFK Jr.'s dad was posthumously honored as well. Mm-hmm. But there's some that you can make an argument. I think Magic Johnson's a good one.
Good one. Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox is a good one
yeah.
for sure with what he's done after overcoming some of this stuff. But the two big ones we got to talk about, Soros and Clinton.
That's just unbelievable.
You have two people that have done more of a
the world.
detriment to America. Like they're if you put a list together of the people that have tried to ruin America,
They're at the
10,
top.
They're at the top.
They're right along with Liz Cheney and her dad, Dick Cheney.
Well, you could put the Bushes in there too.
Yeah, they were horrible too. But Hillary and Soros, oh my goodness, Benghazi and just destroying every liberal state. Soros has done a magnificent job of destroying a lot of states.
Countries.
Yeah. Oh, economies across the world. I saw something about that the other day.
Actually, Alec, I want that insert in the video.
Yeah,
that
I saw
sent you.
that.
There's an interview, I think it was CBS that did a number of years ago. And you're talking about leaders of countries have talked about how Soros has come in there as a private citizen and completely destroyed their economy. And he's tried to do that here in the U.S. What he's done smarter than he did in those other countries because they were smaller, he knew in the U.S. he couldn't be as public about it. So what has he done? He's funded these corrupt DAs and they're to get elected, and then they go and not put any crime, like actual hardcore criminals in prison.
Yeah.
And driven our crime rate up. What he's done is funded the Democratic Party to ruin America, and he's gone under the radar. So most Democrats don't even know his name or think he's some
people couldn't even
saint.
show. If you showed a picture of him, most of them couldn't even tell you who he was.
Well, and part of the reason, another thing, he didn't show up either. He sent his son to go and get that. Mm-hmm. So it's incredible to me that people don't even know who George Soros is and how bad of a man he is. And then Clinton, I mean, Hillary, most people know, but the Democrats still don't know that she funded the Russia thing.
Oh, Benghazi.
She started it. The Benghazi where you got actual Americans killed.
Yeah, read her emails. Started the
you
war
go
in
and
Libya.
Sorry, you can't read her emails because she took hammers to those hard drives.
And the ones that they did get from WikiLeaks, they tried to take them and suppress him and throw him in jail. So, yeah, that's wild. And yeah, Soros is like the Wizard of Oz. You can't see his evil empire. He's hiding behind that wall. Yeah, that's wild.
Crazy.
Yeah,
and giving him the Medal of Freedom,
One
which
of the
is
most
just nuts.
Evil persons to ever live.
So next on the list, speaking of evil, Justin Trudeau steps down just yesterday as Prime Minister of Canada.
Oh my goodness. This is
I love saying Canada. I'm sorry, my friends in Canada. It's just fun. Canada, we know you. We love you.
What do you think made him, I know the threats of the tariffs, but what do you think? He just feeling the heat of the people?
So
the
his people
are waking
up there his approval rating has dropped through the gutter.
Yeah.
So the people are waking up in Canada. I think it's a joyous day for Canada and the citizens there, the real citizens there that understand that their freedoms were being absolutely taken away from them.
It's absolutely good for them too, the way it was good for us. Maybe they'll learn how to vote the next time, Maybe they'll take this stuff serious. But I saw something so funny. They let their civilians get really close to their leaders because one guy went up, he said,
that was a woman.
You piece of shit.
She said, basically, get the F out of here. She said, Mr. Prime Minister. And he shakes her hand and he thinks she's going to say something complimentary. And she goes,
I love it.
Get the F out of here.
But yeah, hopefully they will take things serious next time.
And then she goes, yeah, F you. He goes, have a good day. She goes, yeah, F you.
Yeah, he's been horrible, man. He's been horrible.
Baby Castro.
Yeah.
A communist. So yeah, it's a good day for Canada. He's still not out of power yet. He's staying on until his Labour Party selects a new leader. But yeah, man, I
thought you were going to say he's staying on until he goes into labor.
I mean,
they think men can be pregnant over there. So
yeah, he calls himself a feminist. So maybe that's what it'll be. Who knows?
Do you like how they conduct their politics over there, like the old England style with the, back and forth? And I like how they do it in England with the prime ministers, and then you got different parties, and they get to challenge each other and call them out. You don't get that over here much.
No, I think that there's some
Parliament style.
Yeah, there's pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
Like what happened in France was an absolute robbery, and that theirs is similar to the Parliament style. And you had the I don't know their party's name, so let's call them the left and the right. You had the left person getting whooped, and then they merged with a third party to take out the conservative.
Oh, so they kind of,
So they sabotaged the conservative who was winning by essentially striking a deal with the third party. And so there's some pros and cons to both sides.
That's exactly how we do it here. You get the establishment, Republicans merging with the Democrats to try to take out
Trump,
the outsider.
Yeah, so I think there's some uniqueness and some good things to it. But obviously that's been shown to work against the people as well. Yeah. So, the beauty of the U.S. is the checks and balances when they're actually operating appropriately,
the right way,
which they have not been the last couple of decades.
Oh, it's hard to put the X's and O's together when you got the deep state riding along with the establishment. It's a lot of layers to that onion around here. You know, it's just so much going on.
So before we get into two big news events, because I think they're going to take the majority of our time with the two incidents that happened on New Year's Day, let's talk about the drones. I can't remember if we talked about this last time.
We touched on it, but I haven't gotten to the bottom of these drones.
So
I don't know what's going on with the drones.
Unexplained, quote unquote, unexplained drones have been flying across New Jersey and other East Coast areas, sparking speculation and concern among residents and officials. It's still going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reports out there. What's interesting to note is there's patents all over the place that the U.S. military has on these drones. Tying into one of our news news things that we'll get into is the Tesla explosion. There was a supposed manifesto that went out from the person that exploded the Tesla and it supposedly died in that explosion. He put out a manifesto, and Sean Ryan on his podcast talked to the person that got that email. And he talked about drones with, if I can pronounce this word, gravitic propulsion. So anti-gravity.
This is what the guy that supposedly blew himself up, he was talking about this in his manifesto.
Yeah. So he says that only the U.S. and China are the only ones with those capabilities, that technology. And he's
wouldn't put it past them.
So there's a lot of smoke on these drones.
But hold on, but I mean, our government is so good at editing and switching up stuff in like a manifesto. You never know what you're gonna get, if you're gonna get the real deal or not.
No,
it's just sad. You know, it's sad.
And you don't know if it's a psyop, or you don't know if it's real.
Yeah,
and that's why the free speech is so important to get to the bottom of these things. But the drones in and of itself, like, is weird.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the fact of the matter is that we're allowing them to be in the sky.
As if we can't take them out and understand where they're coming from. You just can't trust our government.
Exactly. So the only thing that makes sense to me, take out the Vegas manifesto for a minute. When I was thinking about it, is they're ours. Otherwise, we would have shot them down. Now, why are we doing it is the question.
That's the major question. What are we doing it for?
Right? Because if they weren't ours, we'd shoot them down. At least we would like to think. And
I think they're prepping for something that's coming down the pipe. We have to remember Trump is in office.
Well, about to be.
Yeah.
Right? So there's smoke around, are these prepping or are these in the air for an assassination attempt?
Could be.
There's smoke around, is there going to be a UFO psyop run on us, and the drones are kind of teeing us up for that?
That I don't want to have happen, or it could be something to spread this new virus that they want to probably put in the air. Who knows?
Or
who knows?
There's also talk in the intelligence communities because of how bad our immigration has been. That I can't remember if I mentioned it to you or not, but because of the people I get to interview on this show, we know that there's over 1,000 terror cells operating in the U.S. right now.
Wow.
That we know of.
Wow.
And so let's say that they're flying them for good. Let's say they have our best interests in mind. Then there's technology that the drones actually could be searching for gamma radiation.
What about facial recognition?
Maybe. But let's stay on the radiation for a minute. They're searching for a weapon because
Oh.
if there's any nuclear stuff that got across our border,
Because we don't know.
we wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
But if there did, then that gamma radiation could be detection, hopefully to protect us. That would be like the best case scenario that they're doing it for our own good.
Yeah.
The other ones we talked about, those other scenarios could be that they're actually teeing up for a bigger psyop.
You just never know. And I don't think we'll ever know exactly what's behind it. You know, once whistleblowers come out on stuff like that, they disappear really quick. Who knows? These two dudes, they could have put them in that cyber truck and that truck and blew them up. We don't know. Our government is wicked, man. They don't play. They play for keeps. And this is a big time for them, man. They have to, the establishment, it's almost like those Star Wars movies was warning us. You know, they were warning us. Yeah.
Well, remember, so you brought that up. So remember when they went to, I can't remember which one it was, but they go to the planet and they're on the casino. They're in that casino.
Yeah.
And they figure out that these are all the warmongers that were selling weapons to both sides.
The weapon lords.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were really ahead of their time.
I mean, that's essentially what our weapons contractors do that are U.S. Like they're selling to both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get us into war, make a shit ton of money, and more of us young, brave men and women die.
Yeah. Boy.
And they don't care.
This is gonna be interesting. We're gonna see if we're gonna have some real truth tellers in there this time, or are they gonna play ball? And I mean, the Republicans have control of everything right now. We don't know if they're gonna turn out to be great or just another establishment hoax. Put the wool on our eyes and said, "Oh, we gave those guys hope, but we're still the same." We'll see. We'll see who can be bought and who's a truth teller. I know one person they can't control is that chick Green or Candace Owens. You know, people like that. They speak it the way it's supposed to be spoken.
You like Candace?
I love Candace. A lot of people get upset about Candace because of her stance on Israel, but that's a whole can of worms. If you're gonna judge her on that, you shouldn't be judging her at all. I think she's probably one of the greatest black minds ever. You got to listen to what she's saying. You know, the black community hates her because she's telling the truth. She's telling blacks, we don't need crutches. It's not the white man's fault. You know, stop killing your babies. Marriage is important in the black home, you know, but the predominant blacks, they need victimhood. They need victims or their job is in jeopardy, you know?
That's fair.
What good is a jail with no criminals? What drug dealer wants his people to go to rehab? No, he wants you to stay hooked on drugs. You know, what hospital or pharmaceutical company wants a cure for anything? It's the same cycle. No one wants a cure. And anyone who's coming with any type of remedy as a black person in the black community, people see me and call me Uncle Tom, you know, because I want to see black people win, you know, because I have enough balls to say, I know who's doing most of the troublemakers are in middle schools and grade schools.
Look at how much hate Michael Johnson gets.
Yeah.
And whether you agree with him or not, and for those of you that aren't local, he's the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club here.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime he does something good,
they're gonna hate.
The black community comes out and just rags on him.
Hey, listen, everybody hates what's great, and good is a task that's unrewarded. You know, somebody told me a long time ago, every hero is a villain in someone else's story.
Well, I'll take that further. Every person is a villain in someone else's story.
Yeah.
I've said that before.
Yeah.
You've wronged someone before, or you talked, even if you just gave them a bad impression.
But even people that you don't know, they can. Jesus was a villain to some people. You know, even if people don't know you, you become a villain. Like I say, I think Candace Owens is one of the greatest minds ever, and I will debate anyone to prove me wrong. But my sister is brilliant. Doctoral degrees, one of the most brilliant women in the world. And we were talking on the phone one day, and she said, "Oh, I hate that bitch Candace Owens." And I said, "For what? Tell me why would you hate her? It's my blood sister." Shout out Z. But I said, "Tell me why." She couldn't tell me one thing why. And that's sad. I mean, she's been listening to the propaganda put up against this beautiful black woman that she should try to understand and listen to. First thing came out of her mouth is, I can't stand that bitch. I said, why? She was woman enough to say, well, you know, I need to research more about her. You should have, that should have never came out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Don't judge a book by its cover, and don't judge a book that you've never read, you know? So
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah,
that taught her a lesson.
Don't judge a book that you never read.
No. Because you'll have to listen to someone else tell you what the book is about.
Well, and how many people nowadays, like, they don't even have their own opinion. It's someone else's opinion that's coming out of their mouth.
Mm-hmm. I learned that a long time ago, Josh. Some of the people that I just couldn't stand, and I would say, you fucking Uncle Tom, you racist. Oh, I had it so wrong. I had it so wrong, man. That was the best thing that ever happened to me having escape rooms, was to learn how to get out that box and read a book by myself and judge people for myself. And it's never too late to learn. I learn every day. I learn from you all the time. I used to be, oh, Fox News is right wing. Like, no, they're controlled opposition. I thought you were nuts until I started waking up like, yeah, they are. Look at who sponsored them. Mm-hmm. You know, they could talk that talk all they want, but at the end of the day, Pfizer and Boeing and all of those companies still, that's where their money comes from, the advertising money, you know? So they have to be pro-Ukraine. And that's why Tucker Carlson had to go, you know? He flipped the script.
Yep, 100%. All right, let's get into these two main topics. We had a big New Year's Day, kicked off 2025 with a literal and metaphorical bang.
Yeah.
So we have at early wee hours in the morning, 3 a.m., an evil person drove down Bourbon Street, which I've been to many times.
Yeah.
And killed at least 10 people.
Ex-military guy?
Ex-military guy.
No, I'm hearing he was from the same place as the other guy from Vegas.
Well, so, all right. We don't know if they crossed over at Fort Bragg. They both were stationed at Fort Bragg. I haven't seen if they were in that same time frame, because the guy in Vegas, which, okay, that's the second act we're alluding to, the bomb in Vegas outside a Trump Tower in the Cybertruck. That only claimed the person that was in the truck's life. But the New Orleans one, we got to shout out prayers to the people healing, prayers to the families that lost loved ones.
Yeah.
Because that's the tragic accident. A lot to be uncovered here in both incidents. You're right. They were both at Fort Bragg. I just don't know if they were at the same time.
Now, I've heard that Fort Bragg is a place where the CIA and all of that stuff, it was like special military guys, and they had some special programs going on. This is what I hear. They had some special programs, basically how to get into people's minds, and it was just I forgot who was saying this stuff.
Like MK Ultra?
Yeah.
And anyone that doesn't know MK Ultra needs to do a Google search, or whatever your preferred search method is. You need to understand the CIA a little bit better.
It's almost like brainwashing people and controlling people mentally. And it's starting to look that way a little bit. I'm not sure, but something fishy's going on. And one thing I do want to know, what's the significance of the Cybertruck and Trump Tower? I'm trying to figure out what made this guy do the Cybertruck and Trump Tower.
Well, let's start in New Orleans quick,
mm-hmm.
because you brought up that guy first, and we'll get to that. So just to keep us a little bit on track, organized,
We're going down that hole.
So this guy drives from Texas. The vehicle was rented from Turo. Those are facts.
Yeah.
He wasn't an immigrant. He is Islam.
Yeah. Born in Texas.
Served our country. I think he was on the IT side. I think he did one tour in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Those are facts. He's retired military, and takes a bunch of people's lives and tried to cause as much damage as possible. Now, whether it was a psychological warfare thing like MK Ultra that caused him to do this, or he just hated America, or just wanted to do harm to as many people as possible, we don't know yet. What we do know is something odd happened in New Orleans. because there are protections against
The
vehicles
barriers.
going down
Yeah.
those streets. And every time I've been on Bourbon Street, those things have been up.
And they were warned a week earlier about those. That's what I hear on the news.
Well,
they warned them a week earlier
So
about using those.
here's another factual odd thing, is that old woman police chief was fired from Oakland police. She's like 80 years old,
Yeah.
police chief down in New Orleans, and she's a retread. So she's like,
How is
it's
that
not
possible?
like it's someone that's not good at their job and keeps getting hired by big police stations.
Wow.
And so is she in on it?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
because those barriers, every time I've been there, have been up. I've walked around them.
And that would have prevented the whole thing.
Would have prevented the whole thing. Well, now, that guy supposedly had a gun on him.
Okay.
So, but he's not driving over people
Yeah.
if those barriers are up.
Yeah. And his chances of getting shot right away jumping out with a
Well, right, because there's always police at those
Yeah.
barriers, and there was police cars there at those barriers that night. So if he hops out the truck and starts shooting, he's getting equalized real quick.
It's a lot harder to hop out of a truck with a big AK-47 and walking up into a crowded area like
Especially
that.
with two cruisers right there.
Yeah. And yeah.
So now let's go to the Vegas one. Tesla Cybertruck blows up in front of Trump Tower.
Yeah.
There's symbolism there, right? Elon
Yeah.
and Trump together.
Mm-hmm.
There's symbolism. Really odd though. A lot of odd. This one's strange as can be. Okay.
Stranger than fiction.
So this dude is an active duty Special Forces Green Beret.
I heard about that.
All right. So this dude is elite of elite. In fact, he was on a reality TV show with a famous Special Forces guy, Tim Kennedy, a decade ago. And they won the whole competition. Like these guys, like he is elite.
Mm-hmm.
His dad even comes out and says, what confuses me is if Matthew wanted to blow up Trump Tower, he had the know-how to build a bomb
Yeah.
that would have blown
Do
up
some
half
major
the, like,
damage.
Major damage.
Yeah.
Then this manifesto goes out. Now, whether or not that manifesto is real, that's up for debate. Again, if you go on Twitter, right? So when I first saw it, because I follow Sean Ryan, he has a great podcast for those that may or may not listen. Sean's done a lot of great work in the last couple of years with his podcast. He's an ex-Navy SEAL and just great podcast, great platform. He comes out last week, interviews the guy that got the supposed manifesto. He also got some messages from this guy, the Special Forces guy that supposedly blew himself up, saying, hey, I need to release this information. Get it to your show producer, to Fox News, or anyone else.
Wow.
This manifesto lays out that the Department of Homeland Security and another agency have been following them for a week, that the drones that are on the East Coast are ours. They're gravitic propulsion drones. What else did he lay out in there? Oh, war crimes in Afghanistan. That was a big one.
Wow.
And so whether or not that's real or not, then, okay, here's the other oddity piece of it. Like, there was a dude standing like 25 feet away from the Tesla
Yeah.
with his suitcase. He must have just checked out. Luckily, that dude wasn't harmed. But he would have heard the gunshot if the dude supposedly took his life and then blew it up.
Yeah, that's wow. Yeah, that's super wild. So they're saying the guy committed suicide, simultaneously blowing up the Cybertruck.
Yeah, with fireworks in it. Again,
And his
someone
ID
that
didn't
highly
melt.
trained.
And
Okay.
his ID and his passport
Yeah.
didn't melt.
Yeah.
And a
So-
Glock melted.
So the guns melted,
Yeah.
but his passport and military ID did not. There's this woman on Instagram. This is hilarious. She goes, I'm going to start a clothing line made of only passports because seemingly those things don't burn. Just like the 9/11 hijackers,
Yeah.
metal beams burn, the building collapses,
But the ID
but
and
their
the
passports or
passports-
their IDs were perfectly fine.
Now, when they said the man ID and passport was intact, and I saw that gun melted down, I'm like, you
Bullshit.
gotta be kidding me.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
So either they wanted us to find her, they wanted us to believe that it was this guy.
Mhm.
Here's my theory. He's not dead. Someone else was in that car. That Special Forces dude knows how to get away. I don't care if he was getting followed by Department of Homeland Security.
That could be true.
That was his way out of the country.
That could be true.
And I hope he shows up in some like Switzerland or wherever.
So you think
wherever what's his face from WikiLeaks is, Assange, wherever he is, I hope he's there.
Yeah. No, you're talking about Snowden.
Snowden, yeah, wherever Snowden is.
Yeah, but wouldn't you think video would have it where he could have got out? I don't know.
Well, video inside the truck would potentially say whether it was him or not.
Or the cameras will see him leaving the body and him exiting.
Well, hold on. Again, he has this knowledge, right? So let's say he had a timer on that bomb. He put another body in there.
You damn near could drive that.
The Tesla truck
drive itself.
Drives itself.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I didn't think of that.
The Tesla truck drives itself.
Yeah.
He puts I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just making shit up, guys.
But that could be true.
He puts a homeless body in there.
Yeah.
He's a Special Forces Green Beret. He puts another person in there. He gets the F out of the country and leaves his ID in there or in a spot where it's not going to get burnt up.
Yeah.
Now he's supposedly dead.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
But either way, both of these things, because of how there's so much fishiness, like the New Orleans one, there was this independent reporter they let into the dude's house in Texas the next day. When have you ever been allowed in a crime scene the next day?
Especially a reporter with the CIA and FBI.
She's going through, and this was a bomb-making station. You can see you don't think the FBI would have collected all of that stuff?
Yeah, that's fishy. That's really fishy.
Like, this is where people, like, if you believe what the news is telling you and not have questions like this and go, that doesn't make sense. Like, you are not independently thinking for yourself. Mm-hmm. When have we ever, okay, well, let's go back to this school shooting here in Madison. No reporter's been in that parent's house yet.
No.
That's still under investigation.
Exactly.
No reporter, local reporter, independent reporter, or national reporter has been allowed in that parent's house yet to inspect for guns or bomb-making stations or anything else.
They wouldn't even let the reporters they wouldn't even let the reporters on the same side of that street. They had to go across the street to.
But a dude that's killed 10 people and injured another 30.
They let a reporter.
They let an independent reporter that's going to live stream on X in the very 24 hours later.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Next thing they're going to tell us Santa Claus came down the chimney. That is wild. I can't believe they let a reporter in there. That's unbelievable.
Don't you give that shit away for kids.
Sorry, kids.
Santa Claus did come down the chimney.
He really did. He did. He brought me some cigars this year. But yeah, that's wild, John. I didn't hear about that part. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, I saw it. I saw the video. I watched it. It was. I'm sitting there going.
And she's going through evidence. Just going through.
She's
stuff.
pointing out this is a bomb making station. Oh, the Quran that he was reading was open to an ominous page and verse.
Oh, they gave her free range.
To the whole house.
That's wild. Something's fishy. Something very fishy.
So my whole take on both these things is a distraction from something.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree with you.
It's a distraction.
Something's coming down the pipe. Yeah. It really is. They're brewing up something. And it ain't going to be pretty. That's crazy.
No. Anytime these things, and then they're in and out of the news cycle so quickly, and then it's on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we still don't have any answers on the Vegas shooting from how many years ago was that?
Oh, that was years ago. That was
4 or 5?
Or the manifesto from that the girl that had shot up the school somewhere. She was
Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville. Didn't get her manifesto, and they have it.
That wasn't a girl.
It was a guy being a girl. Well, one of the two.
It was transgender.
Yeah. So
I can't remember which way it went, but I think it was guy transitioning to girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they buried that because of that.
Exactly.
Anyhow, so it's interesting, like, when they give us certain information real quickly, And then in like a very similar scenario, they don't give us any information. Like you got to question the narratives both ways.
Oh, most definitely. You got to question it all. You never know. It's hard to get the truth. Lies are told every day, but the truth is so hard to find nowadays. It's like the Holy Grail, finding the truth. In our deep state, they've been secretive. That's what they are. Secret society, the deep state. That's what they do. That's what they master. Lies and propaganda.
Well, and that's where you got to question, because like right when the Sean Ryan thing came out, I'm like, I forwarded to Alec right away. I'm like, holy shit. I was like, and then I look a little bit more on Twitter, and there's special forces people saying, hey, we wouldn't write an email like this. You know, there's some oddities to this, right? So we got to question, like, was that implanted to throw us off even further?
Yeah.
Right? So like, or was this guy that was on Sean Ryan's show in on it? Because he's an intelligence analyst, was he potentially?
Yeah.
As you start questioning,
it could go. It's like
it could go either way.
Yeah, it could go either way. You don't know. It's wild, man. A Rubik's Cube is hard to solve.
It is, man. And so that's why I just lead to with how much confusion there is around both these. Yeah. On January 1st, people are celebrating. My old college roommate was down on Bourbon Street that night, and he was going to go to the bowl game the next day. And luckily, he's old like you and me, and I think he was in bed by 1, so he missed it by a couple hours.
He wasn't doing an all-nighter.
I'm not doing any all-nighters anymore either.
No, them days are over.
I didn't even make it till midnight this year. I'm at home with my family. We watched the Eastern ball drop, and I went to bed.
I had a good time out at the tasting room. It was a good masquerade mask and everything. It was nice. Good food. First time trying oysters.
First time?
Yes.
First time?
I'm from the hood. We fry things, man. We don't eat things raw. Oh, man.
What'd you think?
I was really eating them because this chick told me they were aphrodisiacs, so it didn't work. But, yeah, the horseradish on them, a little cocktail
Tabasco, sauce.
Yeah. It was all right.
Lemon.
Yeah.
Oysters are good, man.
Yeah.
Well, and especially if they're good oysters. You get them fresh from the East Coast or West Coast.
Oh,
man, they're so good.
I was learning the history of oysters. I did not know oysters were gangbangers. You got East Coast oysters and West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
You got the Crip oysters and the blood oysters.
People are very particular on their East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah,
lights.
Some people like the East Coast. Some people like the West Coast.
You know what? For you, we're just going to reference them as Tupac and Biggie from
there
now
you
on.
go. That's a good way to put it.
We'll be like, hey, we're going to go have some Biggie oysters tonight. And we're gonna, then that'll be the East Coast.
East Coast. The Tupac will be the West Coast. Yeah. Yeah, so it's an interesting thing. I was trying to get mine Rockefeller style, but they were like, nope, not tonight, buddy.
Dude, Rockefeller style is money.
That's what I wanted. I wish they had Rockefeller style.
They bake those with a little Parmesan and spinach.
Nah, that's what I'm down for.
I love Rockefeller style oysters. If those are on the menu at a good steakhouse, I'm getting them.
Yeah, I would prefer those over the raw ones, but they'll do. Good experience.
Yeah.
Good time.
That's good, man. Good for you trying new things in your old age.
You can't teach an old dog a new trick.
Well, good stuff. So let's wrap it up here. I think that, leadership as a whole is lacking in our country, and that's where we need the adults to step up, and hopefully this administration is going to have some adults in the room to step up for us, because right now, it's interesting too. Like if they, like the drone thing, let's just take that for an example. There's so little trust in media and government right now. Like if they said, hey, those drones are actually UFOs, we'd be like, bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, the left that believes the media all 100%, like they're going to freak out. But the rest of us with a logical brain are go, no, we don't believe you.
That's so
There's
true.
so little trust right now. And so trust has to be restored. And like trust is a foundational thing of leadership. It doesn't matter if you're running a small business, a big business, if you're in a customer relationship, like trust is foundational. And right now there's so little trust in our government and especially our big media that they could tell us really anything. They could tell us the sky is blue right now. We'd be like, yeah, we don't believe you.
And that comes from years of conditioning. Leadership can only take you so far, but There is no leadership without honesty. And when they say honesty is the only thing that can set you free, honesty goes a long way. The truth will set you free. Could you imagine someone in politics that opened that dirty book up and just let us have it of what really went on with Kennedy, what went on with the deep state and all of these plots and plans that they had. But that secrecy, that's a hard nut to crack. It's hard to find out. It's like the mafia secrecy, unless you get a rat and snitches die. It's the same policies. When someone comes out to be a whistleblower, you either wind up dead, found on some park bench. They play for keeps. They play for keeps.
But I started saying this last year. I probably said it to you. It was like conspiracies wouldn't exist if you would just tell us the truth.
Exactly. So I might as well bring Bigfoot next time. He'll come in here and let him meet you guys.
I think that would be a good idea of you if you know Bigfoot, because I've been in this battle with my with my wife and her family. They think Bigfoot is real.
So you want to get it over with.
So I want to get this aired out once and for all. Is Bigfoot real? Is Bigfoot not real?
Well, you got to warn the wife. He charged $10 each selfie. So
that's it.
That's it. $10 each per selfie. So.
I think he, as a better businessman, you should tell him to raise his prices.
I had to let him come to one of your business meetings. He's slacking.
Well, use the horse arena because you need the big garage door to fit his tall ass in there.
Enough about Bigfoot. That would be, boy, this place would be packed. Wow.
Those Bigfoot shows, they'd be out of business because we found them. All right. Transparency, honesty, leadership. That's what we need. So hopefully that comes in the next 2 weeks when Trump takes office and our media can potentially even tell us the truth at some point.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome as well.
Yeah.
Because, conspiracy theorists right now are batting about 1,000.
And look, we got to see what Trump and his people do as far as, are they going to play politics? Are they going to play politics? Or are they just going to be on the up and up and try to get this world revolve in the right way again? So we'll see.
We shall see. But Spartan audience, you know what to do. Share this far and wide. We're going to enjoy the rest of these cigars.
Yes.
Y'all have a great day. Remember, the good and great are the enemies of possible. Lead like a Spartan.
This